the course Digitalizing E-Bus Projects, and will be taking place on the Mobility Academy over the next 4 months. And what does it offer? Some of the things that have been talked about already, but clearly what's needed, detailed information on implementing future-ready e-bus projects, and the key focus being on the digital tools and services that are needed for that. Focusing on 3 project stages, so looking at planning and procurement, operations monitoring and management, and project evaluation, and also looking at data and the challenges that faces and how that can be overcome. So that's the course really in a nutshell, and now I'll give you a little bit more detail than that. Starting though with who is this for? And this really is intended for people, decision makers in public transport authorities and operators in Asia, Africa, and Latin America. So focusing on the TUMI E-Bus Mission cities and what they need to learn to take their e-bus fleets forward. And I'll go into a little bit of detail now. I'll say that this is the course overview, and you'll also find this on the Mobility Academy. Which if you've registered, you'll have been there already, but I'll just give you a quick rundown of what we have here. So this is the whole thing in a nutshell, starting from the 17th of October and taking us till the 17th of February. And we're at the launch event right now, so we're just getting started, getting to know the team and so on. And what's starting, that's where we are now. And what's coming next then is the first of our modules starting on Monday, the 17th of October, running for a week. And this is fundamentals on e-buses and their challenges. And this is an optional module. It's to give a little bit of background on electric buses, presenting the current state, the technical context, and also looking at some of the challenges. So if anybody would like a little bit of background information, that's a week taking place starting on the 17th of October. And then we move on to the next 2 modules. And we have fundamentals on IT systems for public transport, and this is looking at the delivery chain. So the core processes of the transport operations and the IT systems required for these processes. And then the course or the module following that is system design for e-buses, getting into things like selection of battery, charging technology, dimensioning, location of infrastructure, comparison of different scenarios, cost calculations, and also the transitioning of the fleet and approaches to that, and getting into the KPIs, tender stage considerations. So really asking the question, when are we ready to take the next step in the rollout? And these 2 modules are both required modules within the course. So no options here, but I think it'll be worth taking them. And then we move on to the next 4 modules, and each one of these is 2 weeks long. And just a quick overview of each of them. So we have first scheduling for electric buses, and this is vehicle scheduling with and without optimization. So manual planning, some of the peculiarities of e-buses, data interfaces to other IT systems, and feeding back to the monitored energy consumption figures. So from the vehicle monitoring into the scheduling. And following on that one, we have depot and charging management for electric buses, looking at vehicle dispatch, assigning vehicles to blocks and parking positions, and electric vehicle supply equipment. And this addresses also charging station control and monitoring functions, parameters for real-time and empirical analysis, smart charging. It goes on and on. It's hard to know where to stop here, but I'll just give you a little bit more information on operations control, so intermodal transport control systems and functionalities of ITCS and operations control systems, real-time data, data paths and data interfaces, monitoring and predicting the state of charge and the range of the vehicles, and also managing some of the exceptions. And the 4th of the 4 modules that I'm looking at now is evaluation of electric bus operations. So the data, charging interface data, data sets, data paths, data interface, and the exploitation of log data, and also looking at battery monitoring and battery state of health. So that's a quick run through of those 4 modules. And you have the option when you're choosing here to do 2 of these 4. You're very welcome to do all 4, but 2 are required. And then the final component we have is the virtual study tour, which is also a required component. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in a couple of minutes, so no more details right now. Just to look now at the time commitment that's expected if you're participating in the course, this is sort of a week or 2-week breakdown of what the expectations are. And you can see there is an online webinar, recorded lectures, discussion questions, and moderated exchange, which takes place in the forum on the Mobility Academy. We have a quiz, recorded case studies, and summaries of the key lessons learned and the messages coming out of these. So those are the components you can expect basically in each of the modules that you're taking. Some key points though, the live webinar takes place on the first day of each new module, and that's at 10 o'clock Central European Time in English, and 3 o'clock in the afternoon, again, Central European Time in Spanish. So you get this information when you register for the course, but just to be aware, this is the live component that takes place with every course. And all of the other activities in the course you can do at a time that's convenient to you. So this makes it possible for you to work in the morning or the afternoon or whatever is best for you, and to complete your course components at your convenience. And just to give you an idea what you can expect in this, the key component of this are the course lectures. And most days you'll have a short lecture, which is maybe 10 to 20 minutes long, depending. And each of these lectures sort of gives you a step-by-step of what you can expect. And at the end of each course lecture or session, you have a series of questions. And so this is just coming out of the one, if you're taking the course next week, you'll see this again then. Some of the discussion questions that are placed, and the idea here is to try and take what you're learning in the course and apply it to your local context. So what does this mean for me? What do I need to consider myself in my local context? And the activities that are taking place, and I've just taken a screenshot here, are from the Mobility Academy discussion forum. So you'll see the questions there and put your responses to the questions there. You can also add your questions to the course moderators there if you want to. And importantly, this gives you a chance to see what other people are responding. So what's happening in other cities? How do they compare to us? How can I learn from what's going on in other cities? So it's not just learning from the moderators and the presenters, but also from the other cities that are involved. One of the other components that we have is a case study for each of the modules. And this is an interview with those in the field, and so that we can learn from their experience as well. And this is about a 5 to 10 minute interview to understand what's going on somewhere else. And again, with discussion following that. This component I mentioned briefly is the last module of the course, and it takes place in the middle of February 2023. And this will be a visit to 3 different locations, and we've just got 2 noted right now, but to go a little bit, and talked about already, but clearly a virtual visit with a tour with some video to see what's going on in these places. And so we have the one example of Bogota, Colombia, at Transmilenio, just to take a tour there virtually to understand what's happening there, what their challenges are, and how they've already begun to address them. And the second one we have identified already is Wiesbaden in Germany, where the charging schedules, up-to-date vehicle data, secure range. So these would be some of the things that we'll be looking at in the virtual study tour. And a third city will be added as well. And just a note on language. Obviously, I'm speaking English right now, but the course is available in English, Spanish, and Portuguese, various components of it. So most of the lectures will take place in English, but we have Spanish and Portuguese translations of those. So those are available to you. The case study interviews will take place either in Spanish or in English. with translations available to the other languages. So the information is available to everybody. We also have a recommendation on translation. The tool that we use, if you're not familiar with it, is DeepL, and you can just drop text into that and get the translation into the language that you want. And it's a pretty good tool. And this allows you to, for example, read entries in the discussion forum in other languages than yours. So if you prefer to see something in Spanish, you can take the English text, drop it into DeepL, and get the translation there. So we're providing as much as we can in different languages, but would like to make the exchange available to you. So please feel free to use the tools. We'll be doing the same thing. So if you want to write a response in Portuguese, we can also use the tool to read your comments and respond. So the tool should help us, I think, with our communication. And just so you're aware, the slide set of each course module is also available in English, Spanish, and Portuguese. So it should be, the course components are available to everybody. Just a quick introduction to the partners, so the team behind this course. I'm Bonnie Fenton from Ruprecht Consult, and I have 3 other partners, we'll say organizations that are working together with us. We're working more on the pedagogical component, the Mobility Academy, the courses, the questions, and that sort of thing. But the actual technical content is coming from our 3 other partners. And this first is IVU Traffic Technologies, and this is just a really brief overview so you can see where they stand, how they've developed, and they're working around the world with 800 employees and working in 17 countries with customers around the world as well, and working with end-to-end IT offers for public transportation. So they are one of the expert content providers. The other is E-Bus Plan, expert in designing electric bus systems. And there's some information here for you to see some of their core competencies and portfolio. And they will be providing, again, other components of the modules that you'll be following over the next 4 months. And the third partner, whoops, sorry, one more click. The third partner involved is EVOBUS, so DAIMLER buses, a market leader for electric buses and e-bus solutions. And these are the 3 content providers that will be putting together, that have put together the content that will be shown in the modules coming up over the next 4 months. And here's just a brief look at us. As I said, we have a variety of services, but what we're focusing on right now is the aspect of learning and exchange. So making sure that it's an effective way for people to learn not only from the content of the course, but also from one another. And here's just a quick look at the technical experts so you can see their faces. Dr. Karsten Wasiluk, Dr. Thorsten Franke, Dr. Christian Sandfort, and Philipp Sinhuber, who have created the content for the courses, for the course modules that you'll be taking part in over the next 4 months. And just to wrap this up, completion of the course, we will be offering a certificate at the end. So once you have gone through the successful completion of the modules, and I will say that what's required to do this is listening to having gone through all the recorded lectures and the case study interview for each module, completion of the short quiz that's involved in every module, and what I consider one of the key component is responding to the discussion forum questions posed by the moderators during the lectures. So I think that's the part that really brings it back to you and your own cities. And upon successful completion at this, you will be receiving a certificate to show that you've managed to get through this. And that is the last from me. So all I can say now is I look forward to seeing you in the Mobility Academy over the next 4 months. Thanks very much.